I firmly believe that most, if not all, ships in Star Citizen serve a purpose. Not to take this as every ship is the most optimal, most useful ship equal to every other, but they are all capable of doing at least some type of content. Some are more flexible, others a bit less. From simple single person fighters to gigantic complex capital ships which actually require coordination, crew, and proper management to function, and all the others which are more or less complex in between. And I actually want to focus a bit more on the starter ships. First two that come to mind when talking about starters, of course, are the simplest starter ship packages, the Aurora MR and Mustang Alpha. These are the most common ships to any player who has played Star Citizen, and most of the players do have at least one of them. Compared to the newer starter ships getting released every year, they are slightly dated, of course, but there are also several updates which have kept them up to date. For example, Mustang Alpha getting the storage area, and Aurora MR getting the stairs, thus allowing us to access the vehicle without the animation. These have just been a couple of the changes to the oldest of the starters. There are also other starters like the Pisces series, Reliant, a couple of ships under the Origin, and all the other variants of Mustang and Aurora, alongside ships like the Nomad, Cylon, and even the new Intrepid. Of course, some of these ships have aged pretty well or remained still quite relevant, while others are less notable. Perhaps one of the best aged and always preferred best starter ships is the Aegis Avenger Titan. This ideal small combat slash cargo focused ship is just perfect for any new player, or any player who is unsure about their activities, and just in general a good ship to start out with. It doesn't matter if it's after the wipe and you're starting your new grind, or you're just using it as a comfortable ship, because it does offer most things a player might want in a really neat, tight package. Yes, I think it is pretty much a perfect ship. Sure, we can argue there are some good ships under the Origin. Reliant series is just fine, the new Intrepid is pretty cool, and even the Cylon has its proud moments. The main thing I want to point out is that no matter how much of a specialized ship or big ship or focused content ship you have, there is always room for starters. And if you didn't have any of those ships, we all would probably pick from one of these starters to most optimally suit our playstyle or the general focus that we are pushing towards, and an ideal ship would cover all of those roles which a person considers vital for their progress in the game. Not to say that there won't be players who would fully dedicate themselves onto combat and wouldn't pick some kind of a medium fighter, but rather that these starter ships are good ships to have, especially if you are alone. Or perhaps you're doing progress grind and you want to do several different types of roles, because the heavy rinse and repeat grind will eventually take its toll, and it's good to have a ship which can perform in some other, less, let's say, combat focused role, like delivering boxes or just doing bunker missions, whatever is your preferred playstyle. Perhaps being able to hold some cargo, armors, weapons, or just hoarding the bodies of long gone NPCs. Star Citizen does have plenty of players with fat wallets who have gotten themselves some other ships than the starters or starting out ships, medium-sized or even large ships, sometimes with specific focus in mind. Often these end up being ships like the Corsair or Constellation, being pretty large, offering quite a lot of cargo and a lot of firepower in the hands of the pilot, thus focusing on the maximum firepower and comfort of a single person ship which doesn't lose a lot of firepower on account of lacking other crew members. These ships often of course have similar traits to the starters, perfect starters I mean, having cargo space, having accommodations, pilot controlling all or most of the firepower, and that being pretty good for a single person. Many of the starters fill these roles as well. But as the scale goes up, these larger vehicles, larger ships, will of course do more damage, can take more damage, and often can store more cargo. Thus, they do fill the same roles like the starters, but on a bigger scale with more firepower, better chance of survival, and capable of walking away with more cargo. And in a way, this is also my progress. I started out with Aurora MR, I progressed to the Drake Cutlass Black, and eventually got to a ship, the Constellation Andromeda. All of them were pretty much ideal for doing the type of content I liked, and they are a clear example of how a starter ship evolution or a player evolution with its ship goes. From the simple 1-person, 4-box, 3-box cargo unit ship, to the big 100 cargo unit ship with lots of firepower and heavy durability. And that is actually how many players roll. The big ships they end up owning will just end up being gigantic variants or large variants of some of those starter ships. Exactly same, capable of filling several roles, ideal for cargo, ideal for accommodations, and ideal for a solo player, let's say. Starters are nice, I'm sure somebody hates them, but I like them, almost no matter what type they are. Anyway, don't forget to like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.